And now for your hosts, Maverick Rose and Michael Gross.
All right, everyone, this episode of WrestleMagic, we are having a very special interview. Tonight we have Don Fale and Chase Owens. And man, this is really cool. I have not had a tag team both at the same time on this show, and this seems really special. So, gentlemen, how you guys doing?
Great. The greatest tag team, by the way.
No doubt about that. And Michael, the gardener, I'm glad that you could join us as well tonight. So how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. And obviously, Mr. Fale and Mr. Owens don't know really that much about why I am called the gardener, and that's because I love to garden. And we're going to have some tomatoes coming up soon, and some basil, and yes, and some jalapenos. So that's what I love to do in my spare time when I'm not working. I'd love to garden. And but nephew, let's talk some WrestleMagic.
Absolutely.
We've got some amazing guests today. And I'm just as amped as I think that you are amped to have them on the show today.
Oh, definitely. But I want to bring up this one fact beforehand. Guys, we're in 4 different time zones for this. We have somebody in the UK, we have somebody in New Zealand, we have somebody in Japan, and we have somebody in the United States. This is crazy coordinating, and I am really happy that we were able to make it happen. So thanks, guys, for working with us, getting all the time zones and everything right, and making sure we can make it happen. So thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you for working with us, even though it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, thank you. Time zones are always fun to try to coordinate.
Oh, definitely. They can be the biggest pain, but it's so rewarding after.
Not to mention 4.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But, all right, so let's jump right into it. And, Michael, would you like to start this one off?
Sure. I'm going to ask Don Fale. Do you go by Don or Don?
Don. I don't know if you heard the difference there.
So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. First of all, what was it like to carry Prince Devitt on your shoulders to the ring every day?
Man, it was I'd say a privilege. I was still green. I didn't know what I was doing, but I didn't really understand or appreciate the significance of what was actually happening. And Prince Devitt was already a famous wrestler at the time, but I had no idea what I was actually in for. So I think back now, and I think to myself, I was actually privileged to have him on my shoulders, literally, and to see him get to where he is right now. Yeah, I really appreciate it, and I enjoyed the time carrying him around.
Well, another question I had for you, and this is specific because you grew up in New Zealand. And you might not know this, but I actually studied New Zealand because I dated a woman who was Australian for many years. Did you ever think about joining the Anzac?
That sounds kind of funny. You ask an Australian what New Zealand is like. I have a different answer than if you ask a New Zealander. But
I know that there's kind of a feud or whatever else, but yeah. I think that honestly, I mean, you're a fully grown man. We're very close in age, and I see you as a very respectable person. But I mean, obviously, you have a unique size. Okay, so I'm wondering, like, did you ever thought about joining the Anzac?
I have. Both my grandfathers were in the military. One of them actually was in the World War II, and a lot of my family were in the military. So naturally, I did want to. My first choice was try and join the Air Force as a pilot, but back in the 90s, they had a rule where if you're over 190 centimeters, which is probably 6 foot, you couldn't join. You couldn't become a pilot because you're too tall. So
they have no big pilots.
Choice. And I did think about the army, but rugby became my main focus, and that's where I went.
Tell me a little bit more about your rugby career, please, sir.
Yeah, when I was still in high school, I left high school and went to Japan after I graduated. But during that time, if wrestling was in New Zealand, I would have gone that route. But we didn't have any wrestling going on in the space of 93 till the early 2000s where wrestling sprung up again. But there was no schools around to learn how to wrestle, and I thought, what else could I do? So rugby was the biggest sport in New Zealand, and that's why I followed that career path.
Well, rugby and soccer, they say, are always the biggest sports in the world. So I think it's
Okay.
pretty amazing. But, I first discovered rugby in 1987 because I'm a little bit elder. And it was on ESPN. And they would show it. And they were like, this is Australian rugby. And it was just brutal. Brutal.
Yeah.
And I was
That
just
looks
like,
way too tough for me.
I mean, Chase, come on, man. I'm not as tough as you guys. I'm definitely not as tough as you guys. I'm not as tough as my nephew. We all lived life, but man, I love the fact that we all lived a great life, but we all went different paths. So, Mab, would you like to ask a question?
Absolutely. So, Mr. Owens, I've got a couple of questions for you. So, I understand that you trained in Tennessee, correct?
Correct. So
Okay.
I started with actually started with a guy named Mikey Duggar. And it was one of these. I went to a local independent show at the National Guard Armory, and me and another buddy. Oh, hey, how can we buy a ring so that we can backyard wrestle? And the guy was all, don't do that. Come here next Friday. I'll start training you. And then I was lucky enough that Ricky Morton lived in the same town. One half of the Rock and Roll Express, WWE Hall of Famer. And he saw me. I was probably 4 or 5 months in at the time. And he, came up to me after and said, you have potential. Would you like to start traveling with me? Here I was 16, maybe just turned 17. And from there, I was on the road every weekend with him.
Oh, that's really cool. So, did you also get to hang out with his old tag team partner as well?
Robert
we
Gibson?
hang out with Robert all the time. I was lucky because Bobby Eaton lived 20 minutes away at the time too. So a lot of these weekends was me in the back seat with Ricky driving and Bobby in the passenger seat, and I was just sitting there just trying to soak up every single thing that I could, just listening to them too. And a lot of times it wasn't even wrestling related, but I was very fortunate to be with Ricky, and I got a lot of opportunities because of him.
Wow, that's really cool. I'm glad that you got to soak up some of the veteran knowledge there. And so, when exactly did you start working with that school that you had mentioned to us off camera in San Antonio?
So I moved to San Antonio in June of 2020, right in the height of the pandemic. And I now help with Hybrid School of Wrestling. It's in San Antonio, ran by Chris Marvel. He does a great job. He's got this number one SmackDown announcer, Funaki, that helps down there. The school's got 40 or 50 students. There's 5 rings. Like, it's really well ran, and and the what's the plan that they go through. They've got a lot of great talent already out there and that are going to be out there.
Okay, so having lived in Texas, have you been able to visit Wichita Falls and see the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame by chance?
That I have not yet. I've actually got a buddy that works there, and he's always swing by, but it's little out of the way. So unless I'm really going through it, I don't really have time to get out there. With doing stuff with the wife and the kids and traveling to Japan all the time, and so I'd like to though, because I've heard it's really nice.
Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah, you always got to give your family the time, and especially when you're traveling back and forth and everything. So totally understandable.
That's the hard part, is that, the traveling and being gone for a month. During COVID, we were, I think I was here 7 straight months, and that was tough. So.
Yeah.
So what are breaks like? Actually, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Maverick. When you're doing tours and everything in New Japan, what's it like to go home and then come back?
You'd have to try to, I don't know. I like to relax when I'm at home. But we try to go to the pool during the summer, or go see movies or bowling or whatever, because, you don't get a lot of time at home usually. It's week or two, 3 weeks. So definitely try to spend as much time with the family. And then, me personally, I'm on the road doing shows on the weekends, usually in the States as well.
Dang.
So, Mr. Fale, do you agree with that as well? Are you kind of in the same boat when it comes to time off like that?
Yeah, sure. When we're on the road, we see each other all the time and we work together. The time we get to go home is pretty much our downtime and I'd say detox time because every night we're drinking with sponsors and eating unhealthy and all that. But the time we get home, actually, the only time we can relax and get our health back in on track and all that. But when we're away, we hardly actually talk to each other because we get enough of that on the road. So, but once in a while, me and Chase will say, "How you doing, man? You guys all right?" We chat a couple of times here and there, but we like to separate our time at home with the time on tour. So, yeah, that's it. He's right.
I see.
Mr. Fale, I want to know what made you a wrestling fan and why you became a wrestler. I want you to deep dive. The
Deep dive,
match.
okay? Way back, okay? I'm going way, way back.
Way back.
Yes. I was born in Tonga, and Tonga is like a smaller than Hawaii in the South Pacific. And we didn't have TV back in the 80s. We had TV, but we didn't
Bunch of
have TV
islands.
stations.
Yeah.
We didn't have TV stations, and everybody only had VCRs. So my grandfather was a massive wrestling fan, and his kids were all in America. And what they would do, they would just send him wrestling films from the States. And for the first 6 years of my life, I spent with my grandfather before I moved to New Zealand. But those 6 years, it was just constant, every day watching the same tapes over and over. You watch it today, you'll watch the same tomorrow and the day after. And that stuck with me, and I wanted to follow that. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
But there was no match, no wrestler that you just said, that's who I want to be.
Of course, being Tongan, the main wrestlers
Haku.
we gravitated towards was King Haku and the Barbarian, and of course all of the Wild Samoans and Rocky Maivia. The Islanders became role models for us, and just watching anything of theirs was just pure motivation.
Okay. What about you, Chase?
So as kind of the same thing, as a kid, my parents were always watching wrestling. I can't really think of a match that really got me, really into it. But of course, as a young kid, early 90s, guys like Macho Man, Hogan, those were the guys that you wanted to be like, and, that you were really cheering on.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, they were the face of the company at the time. So, yeah, everybody kind of looked up to them back in 80s and a little bit of the 90s as well. So, something that I've been wondering about between the two of you, how exactly did you guys meet and when did you guys become a team? Was it organic, like backstage you guys were really good friends, or did you guys get put together by the company?
So I met Fale. He was already in New Japan. And I came into New Japan in 2014 of October. At that time, even not joining, Bullet Club, Fale was one of the guys that kind of, helped me out. And him and Luke Gallows, Lance Archer, they were the guys that kind of made sure that I was being taken care of by sponsors and going out to eat, and then 2015, I joined Bullet Club, and me and Fale were around each other all the time, and we just clicked really well together, and and
Awesome.
things took off from there, and we've been together ever since.
That's really awesome. I mean, you guys really do have
10 years.
Yeah, I would say at least more than that. More than that.
I gotta give it all.
when we're on tour, it's it was Fale and Tongaloa. Those are my two guys that I hang out with, talk with.
The two guys
Yeah,
I would not
when I
mess with.
first met Chase, when I first met him, I realized there's something special about this kid, and especially when he started bumping around for me, I thought I got to keep this kid around.
Yeah, that's why I'm stuck around to do all the bumping.
I said, "Stick with me, kid. You're gonna have a long career."
So you had to be the Ricky Morton and the Robert
Yeah,
Gibson.
yeah. But it's paid off. So here we are 10 years later.
Well,
I've made a lot of money.
actually, Chase and Mr. Fale, I would say I want to ask, why do you stick in Japan? Why do you not come back to America and do American promotions? Now, you've said that you've done like some American like knockoffs here and there, but the fact that you guys are so talented and so well versed in what you do, why do you stick in Japan? And do you have like a full life in Japan? Like you have a full apartment there? Because you're talking about your wife and your daughter and everything else. And we'll get to Mr. Filet in a second. And he has a whole, what I believe, wife and, family over, in New Zealand. So how hard is it splitting time like that?
It's hard, we travel around Japan so much that we don't actually have like an apartment. So we're hotel switching every day, every 2 days. Lucky if we get 3 days sometimes, so that's rough. Pretty much living out of suitcases, packing up, being on the road, day in, day out, going to shows. If you're off days, they're usually travel days. You don't really get a lot of free time. So that's pretty rough. But yeah, like I said earlier, just when you're home, I try to spend as much time with families as I can. Japan's been good to me, so I think that's why I'm still here and I'm glad to be here. And truthfully, I don't really want to go anywhere else. So hopefully, as long as they'll have me, I plan on being here till I'm done.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. So, Filet, tell me, why Japan for you?
Myself, it's a couple of factors. I have some elderly parents. The first 10 years I was in Japan, I hardly had time to spend with my family. But ever since being with New Japan, they've allowed me to go home pretty much once a month to spend in New Zealand with my parents. So I fought a couple of times. I've had some offers from different companies, but I didn't think or believe that I could easily just leave whenever I needed to. And I think Japan is more accommodating for when we need to head home for family emergencies and all that. Also, I never trained wrestling or anywhere else. I just started with New Japan. So I started from zero and I learned how to do the Japanese style and how the Japanese culture is. And I really fell in love with it. And I can't see myself leaving it. But I never say never. But for the time being, they're being really good to me, so I'm enjoying it.
Okay, I'm glad that they've definitely taken you in a way, and that's become your guys' second homes. So something I do want to ask you guys about, and it's nothing against the people, culture, or anything, but I've asked the Jumping Bomb Angels about this when I interviewed them. Coming over from Japan to America, did they face any disparity or anything like that when coming over? So did you guys feel from the beginning you were well received by the Japanese community?
Go ahead, Fawn.
Oh yeah. What people need to understand is if you want the Japanese fans to embrace you, you have to become a Japanese. A lot of guys come down there, and I suggest you try and learn a little bit of Japanese. And a lot of them don't listen. And the fastest way to connect with the fans over there is try and see things how they see it, and you'll automatically connect with the fans over there. And I think the way I was trained over there and learning the culture and learning the language, it was easy for me to get support from the fans over there.
Okay, what about you, Mr. Owens?
Yeah, again, Fale's helped me with the culture, and and he's always been helpful in like little tips of how things are done or whatever. I've studied Japanese a little bit. I definitely don't know anywhere near as much as I should after being here 10 years, but at the same time, knowing the culture, knowing the things to do and not to do, I think have helped just as much as being able to speak it. The guys in the locker room or whatever. I feel I have great relationships with everybody. We get people that take us out. I've got great friends that are Japanese, and so while I'm not as cultured as Fale, but he's definitely helped me out a ton. Like I said earlier, he's him, Lance Archer when he was here. Like those were the guys that really took after me and have looked after me.
Heck yeah, man. You guys made a little bit of a community there, and that's awesome to see that you guys formed we kind of call it in my line of work, almost like a small family sort of atmosphere. You guys are all together there. Maybe you don't like each other in the beginning, but eventually you kind of become family because it's all you got.
Yeah.
And
Fale, I definitely consider, Fale a brother. In this business, not many people you can really count on or trust, but him again, Tongaloa, Lance Archer, those are guys that I talk to regular basis, and they're guys that you can throw ideas off of, and hey, you think this would work? You think, what about this? Get honest opinions too. You got to have those in this line of business, because a lot of times people have these guys and you just, hey, how'd this look? And they're, oh, it was good. And it wasn't. You've got to have those guys that will be honest, and you can't get butthurt about it. And, and you either take their advice and try to fix it, or you just go on, and not worry about it. But, again, Fale knowing the culture, he's always been helpful. And he's one of the biggest reasons that I feel that I'm, still around.
What do you think it was your best match and your worst match?
Fale.
I know.
Is this in New Japan, or is this all time?
Just all time.
I'd say my worst match was my debut match. I watched that once, and I've never watched it again. I debuted at the Korak Win in front of 2,000 people, and I legit did not know how to pro wrestle until 2 weeks before my debut. And that's how the Japanese teach. They throw you in the deep end into the waters, the shark-infested waters, and they expect you to swim.
Yeah, sink or swim.
That was my worst match.
Sink or swim, yeah. Sink or swim, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't eat for a week after that.
Are you serious?
My jaw was all dislocated, partially. But that's how they teach you in Japan.
You strike me so differently than what I would meet you. Like, I would meet you and give you a big hug. Like, you probably kick my ass, but you are amazing. Like, I really thought you'd be a very scary guy, and you're not. And you're like such the nicest guy in the world.
Sometimes.
The one thing you gotta understand about Polynesians, we're all the same. If you meet any Polynesian, you'll feel the same way you're saying about how you feel about me. But if you piss them off, or if you see them in the ring, it's all business.
I used to watch Polynesian Pro. I'm that old. But anyway,
wow.
I'm an elder statesman. But anyway, getting back to everything, guys.
Best match, I would say AJ Styles.
Yeah.
I had a singles with AJ Styles. It was one of the most simplest matches I've ever had, and but it was very entertaining. And to be able to work with somebody in that caliber was amazing to me. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. Mr. Owens, what about you? What was your best and worst matches?
I'm going to agree with Fale on the worst match. Was probably the debut match, even though I thought that it was awesome until you go back and watch it later and realize that it's not. But some of my favorite matches that I consider my best, again, this has got to be most people if you've wrestled him, but AJ Styles, I wrestled him in kind of my home promotion in Tennessee. It's not my hometown, but it was about 25 minutes away, and we did the biggest attendance in that building for any, pro wrestling event that was there. And like Fale said, it was the simplest but most entertaining. Like everything just meant something, and to have somebody as smart as AJ in there, I would go out and say that he's one of the greatest to ever do it. And I'm going to throw another one out there. I also wrestled Davey Richards in that same building a few years prior.
Amazing.
Yeah, a few years before that, and Fale spent some time with Davey, but I wrestled Davey, and that was like the first time that I really felt what it was like to have to be elevated to the next level. He was the Ring of Honor champion at the time, and I just remember after 30 minutes, I was just sitting in the corner, just dying because he pushed me so hard. But I really feel like, when you listen to people's podcasts or read books, they say a light bulb went off. You can't really teach what it is, but that was my moment that I really felt like, oh, this is how it's done. And that's when I really felt like my skills really started, elevating.
Okay. Dude, that's an amazing statement. That's an amazing statement because honestly, you're right.
WrestleMagic. All right, so Mr. Fale, you mentioned kind of being thrown into the deep end, and I think Mr. Owens, you kind of agreed with them on that. That's how they train you, kind of throw you into the deep end at that point, even though you weren't trained by them. But so what were some other culture shocks that you guys had faced moving from your home to Japan, or at least going there?
Everybody being so nice. It's definitely nothing like America or, whatever, how clean places are, even though, there's no a lot of trash cans or anything around, but people just respect, the country or whatever, and they hold on to their trash until they get wherever they're going. People working hard, no matter what their job is, they take tons of pride, whether they're working at McDonald's or they're some big businessman or woman or, or whatever.
Okay. What about you, Mr. Fale?
I'd say my biggest culture shock was the first time I went to Japan. I was 18 years old, and up until I got off the plane, in my head, I was thinking I was going to get out and see everybody in kimonos and straw hats and have samurai swords. That's how shocked I was.
Mr. Owens, I've heard that you're a Twitch streamer. How is that going, and what games are you playing?
Yeah, I was doing it pretty regularly a couple years ago. It just kind of got burnt out a little bit. I've started getting back into it. I was trying to get back to it regularly, but now we're having some computer issues, and the computer's getting kind of old, and it won't run the stream as well. But I did order a new computer, and it's sitting at my house right now. I've just got to get there to start using it. But I play a military game called PUBG. It's a battle royale. That's probably the main game because my friends play it and we spend a lot of time on it. But if it's just me and if friends aren't on, I'm into Madden and college football, which the new ones are coming out here in a few days, and I can't wait for that. But streaming was going pretty good when I was regularly doing it. You got to build up your base. It's fallen a little bit that I haven't done as much, but you still got those loyal people that come in and watch and and chat while you're gaming. I'm not tech savvy, so I don't have all these crazy bell and whistles when I stream like some of these real good streamers do. With me, you get the game I'm playing, me, you can chat to me, and that's basically it's pretty straightforward and and simple.
Nothing wrong with that. So, Mr. Fale, do you game at all as well? You ever play games with Mr. Owens?
No. I'm one of those guys who grew up in the 90s, and we spent most of our time outside playing on the streets. But I did play a little bit. Back then, we used to have what they called spaceys. Those machines at the grocery store, at the convenience stores and in some of the game centers. And the one game I used to play was Street Fighter.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only game I ever played.
Street Fighter.
Hey, did you hear about the new movie that they just cast for Street Fighter?
I heard they were making a new movie, but I don't know who's going to be on it.
From what I've heard, Roman Reigns is going to
Cody
be Akuma.
Roman. Yeah, Cody Roman.
Dear Lord.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of like the whole casting. Some of them seem a little weird.
Well, let me ask you.
I could have played Balrog.
I would definitely see that. You could be Balrog.
You're a tough son of a gun. You're a big son of a gun. I look at the way they do casting. It's like, son of a gun, man. They could have cast somebody better. And yeah, you're right. You could have been Balrog. You could have been awesome at Balrog.
Yeah, definitely agree. But
are you going to go watch Street Fighter when it comes out next year, 2 years, whenever it comes?
Hell yeah. That's us. Let's go, Chase. Let's go.
Yeah. Dude, I think awesome. I might go see Jurassic Park tonight.
Really?
Yeah, by myself.
Another one with that.
Do you guys know that I do actually own BC marchandise? I'm 50 years old and I own BC merchandise. You know what it is?
We appreciate it. What?
Underwear.
What is it?
Underwear.
Underwear.
Yes.
Well, we appreciate
that. I think Chase would like that. I think you would like that. I think all of you would like that. But yes, I own BC underwear.
Bullet Club undergarments. All right, definitely different than what I was expecting to hear today.
I didn't know we got to that point.
They're boxer briefs. They're boxer briefs. Okay, but I actually
I don't have any of those.
Yeah, but I stripped down to them for a 20th anniversary of a restaurant that I opened.
So something else I did want to ask about. So Mr. Fale, so how exactly does running Tamashi work for you? And how do you balance that and your wrestling individual life?
Man, that's not easy. It's not easy to wrestle. It's even harder to be a promoter, a coach, and a trainer, and trying to do it all at once. Not easy, but I love the challenge. I love it. I wouldn't do anything else if I didn't do it. But, I cope.
Definitely.
Yeah. God bless you for running shows because, I help. I don't have any financials or whatever involved in these shows that I help with in Texas, but just I kind of help, with the younger guys or whatever. And the stress and headache that I see some of these promoters go through. My dad's all the time like, oh, have you ever thought about running a show? And I'm like, nope. And I absolutely will not because I don't want to deal with the problems and the people complaining about they're not happy about something or whatever. I will gladly stick to just doing my match and, offering advice to the younger kids that want to learn it, that aren't already know-it-alls. And actually want advice.
Oh, definitely. You always got to help out the younger guys. You never know who you're going to inspire next. And it's a really great way to look at it is looking to inspire
that's my thing. That's my thing. Like, I feel because I had guys like Ricky Morton, Bobby Eaton, Tracy Smothers, I had these guys around that were so willing to help me, that I do want to give back to that, into the next generation. And yes, wrestling's changing and I don't know it all and I'm not some huge superstar or whatever, but I have had a job with New Japan for 10 years and I can definitely help if people are willing to listen and learn.
My dream job was to be a pro wrestler. However, my body would not develop. I couldn't get past whatever my body was. However, I learned wrestling. I just watched it. It made me happy. It was my favorite thing in the world. And I can't say that you guys haven't made me happy. You guys haven't made me. You guys did the best you could to entertain. I just don't like to use that term, but you guys did the best. I just want to say
and for some people that I've seen that a bunch. people want to wrestle and then they can't. But if like you just want to be a part of the business, there is all kinds of jobs that you can come up with or to do. You can be ring announcers or maybe being a manager, or if you're good with production, which I think we said that we were not tech savvy earlier, but if you can do graphics or whatever. I had a buddy that was a manager on the independents, and that's what he wanted to do, but he got offered a job at TNA to do merchandise and to drive the ring truck. And that's how he made a living for like 10, 12 years. But it wasn't performing like he wanted, but I mean, he was still around it and still being, part of the business.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm loving this episode because I think everybody's great. Mr. Fale.
Yep.
It was one of the awesomest things in my life that you addressed me about your sandal. And I know it's dumb as heck, but the fact that you actually responded to me meant a lot to me. Okay?
What's the story behind this?
Oh, so he put up like a thing. This was like 10,
Here's the
10
Twitter
years.
post that Michael commented on. But so while being in Japan, did you guys ever think or expect to become IWGP Tag Team Champions like you did, or was that just something that happened and you guys were extra excited about it once it did?
I enjoyed it. It wasn't really something that first thought of. I guess I'll go back to saying this. I'd never really watched New Japan until maybe 2012. I knew about it just from like their partnership with WCW back in the day. But my buddy, again, to my home promotion, he's probably my best friend and still is, but like I'd go over to his house and watch these New Japan shows. And at the time, I think they were having I think they just introduced the Never title. So, watching the matches between like Ishii, Makabe, Ishii, Homa, like just these hard hitting guys, and I was thinking, oh man, it'd be so cool to wrestle there, even though I never will. Then a couple years later, there I am, and it's, it'd be cool to do this, whatever, so never really thought about it. But, once the opportunity came, some of the best memories are in those tag matches with Fale. I think the first time that we won the IWGP tag titles, that was my first title with New Japan. So, that was special, and not just winning, a prestigious title that a lot of great tag teams have held, but to do it with one of, my best friends.
That's awesome.
Mr. Fale, I take it you full-heartedly agree with it?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, 100%. All these years tagging with Chase, I've enjoyed it so much that I didn't even think
longevity in your career.
Mr. Fale, at your size and at your strength, I gotta ask you, who scares you and you can't say Haku?
Who scares me?
Yeah.
God.
Because you're a big son of a gun.
I'll say Haku.
Well, I mean, everybody knows Haku. Okay, so I want somebody besides that, because Fale is a huge son of a gun.
Right. But,
I grew up in a boxing family, so I learned how to fight from a young age, and I didn't start growing until I was 16. So it didn't matter how big or small anybody is. I've learned how to fight, and I'll take on anybody. So nobody can scare me. And I've trained with a lot of the UFC fighters. I am from New Zealand, and a lot of the top UFC fighters are from New Zealand, and I've trained with a lot of them. So nobody scares me. Oh God.
okay.
So I don't need to come out of retirement then.
Absolutely not. But so moving on, I'd like to ask you both, what advice would you give to your younger selves when starting out in the business?
Great question.
All right.
Here's one that I got from someone. I'm not going to say who, but it says, "Shut your mouth and open your ears." That's the best advice I could have ever gotten, and I can ever give anybody. In this business, you come in, shut your mouth, and open your ears.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. Ricky Morton would always tell me, we got two ears and one mouth for a reason. And again, being around all those guys, it was, shut up and just soak everything that you could hear. Use your brain as a sponge and just take, because at that time, the knowledge that I was around, 50, 60 years worth of top tag team wrestling guys or whatever, and then being with Ricky, I would get opportunities that, most people wouldn't. I remember one time that maybe my second or third show, I went with Ricky Morton to Mills Creek, West Virginia. And the show was for Greg Valentine after he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And he was supposed to wrestle Manny Fernandez, and Manny Fernandez didn't show up. And guess who got put in the match with? Guess who got put in the ring with Greg? Me at freaking 17, 18 years old.
Oh wow!
And that was the first time that I'd been like roughed up, and like that was my first eye-opening experience to how the business used to be. And I just remember getting back in the car and Ricky being like, "He liked you." Like, how'd you know? Like, well, he sold for you and he didn't beat you up. And I just looked at Ricky and was like, "He didn't beat me up." Like, what are you talking about? Ricky's like, "Worked with him 20 years ago." I'm like, "No, thank you." Because, we locked up and I thought he broke my collarbones. The size of his hands were just, like catcher's mitts.
Wow. Really that big of a guy? I never realized, because I've never seen Greg Valentine actually wrestle, but I've seen him in video games and such. And the name always rang a bell, but I've never actually seen him. I didn't realize his hands were that big.
Oh, yeah. Their hands were massive. And when he was chopping you, it was probably one of the worst pains I've ever felt in professional wrestling.
Okay, so a little bit stiff, but hey, sometimes you got to do it for the show, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was fun though.
Gosh.
Again, that was because of Ricky. So that was a great moment getting to wrestle. I enjoy wrestling the older legends for those memories.
Oh, definitely. So that leads perfectly into my next question, which was, what do you guys think are the biggest moments in your guys' career so far?
For me, the AJ match was one of the biggest. My G1 match a few years ago that I beat Tanahashi right in the middle of the ring. No help, no cheating. I'm 1-0 against the ace, and then winning tag titles.
Jeez. But, I mean, beating Tanahashi, that's really big. That's huge.
Yeah, because he's for those that don't know Japanese wrestling, he's, the John Cena, Stone Cold, The Rock,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's king. What about you, Fale?
2014. 2014, I had a title match with Shinsuke Nakamura and won the Intercontinental Championship off him. Up until then, nobody really knew who I was, but after that match, everybody knew who I was.
You guys are so amazing. You guys are like so great as far as just like talking to us, listening to us, and talking about your life and your path and everything that is making your life, a better journey.
Yeah, you said, path, and, everybody's got a different path in wrestling. Fale trains people, so I'm sure he can attest that there's not something that you can say, do this and you'll be in this spot. Because it's just a lot of times in wrestling, it's right place, right time. For me, for an example of that, I probably wouldn't be in New Japan if Nick Jackson didn't break his ribs 3 days before the Super Juniors in 2015. I was in Canada doing a 20-something day tour. And at the time I had a visa. I was part of Bullet Club. So the office, hey, can you be here in 3 days? And, yep, I can. And then, I made sure to make a point that, hey, because this was at the time the NWA and New Japan were working together. It's like, I'm not under contract with NWA, right? And they're like, what, really? And then from there on, I was here pretty much every month and full time. So if Nick Nick didn't break his ribs, I probably wouldn't be here. So right time, right place for me.
It's interesting that you say that because when we interviewed Donovan Dijak, he had mentioned that it's almost like a pie chart. And it's like most of it is things you cannot control. And then a small portion of it is like, yeah, the things that you definitely are in control of. But even if you do your best, the rest is a huge factor that can really screw you over. If just wrong place, wrong time can really screw up your career, you may not go anywhere after that point.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys back in my home area in Tennessee that were, great shape, great workers, and just were never given, the opportunity to be seen. And, they never really did anything outside of independent wrestling.
Yeah, sometimes it ends up crumbling down like that.
WrestleMagic.
We're coming down to the wire here. We're getting pretty close to the end. So I do want to ask you guys just a couple of quick personal questions. So having traveled to Japan, what are some of your guys' favorite places to eat out there?
I don't know. Yeah. You really can't go wrong eating anywhere really in Japan. One of my favorite things though is when we would go to Nagoya, we used to have this family that would take us to this Korean barbecue spot every night that we were there, and it was just delicious. Oh my God. We'd stay there for hours and hours, and it was just some of the best food.
Just that good. So what about you, Mr. Fale?
Oh, everywhere. We go on tour to every small city there is in Japan, and every single one you'll find somewhere hidden, some small mom and pop restaurant. Anywhere, any street there'll be one. You just go in there and everything will taste great.
Yeah, if you find a little hole in the wall restaurant in one of these alleys, that's where you need to eat, because those are the best spots. The ones that have like 3 tables for customers. What's the Polly knows what I'm talking about. There's that ramen place, I think it's ramen, in Fukuoka, that people set out in line on the street for hours just waiting to eat there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm not a big ramen guy, so I was not going to wait for hours to eat ramen. But
valid.
But I did see people standing.
Yeah,
I love ramen.
So it's funny that you guys mentioned about the hole in the walls thing, just because the one time that I went to Japan, I had a buddy of mine with me, and he had been living there for a couple of years at this point, and he looked at me, he's like, all right, pick a random dark alleyway. We're going to walk down it. There's going to be a random red sign that says ramen. That's where you're going to have the best ramen of your life. So you're dead on. Know exactly what you're talking about.
He is not lying. And, and some of these the smaller towns are the better ones.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I was only in Okinawa for, I think, a week, and God, the experience was great. You guys or have you guys been to a Coco's Ichiban?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I just had that last night.
I've tried the challenge and I've destroyed
it. I believe it, man. That stuff is really good, but yeah, I mean, I even scarf it down every once in a while. London actually has one, so it's kind of nice to visit once in a while. But yeah, so the next question that I wanted to ask you guys about. So would you guys have any recommendations for the audience? This can be movie, TV shows, video games, cat breeds, dog breeds, recipes, doesn't matter. Just something about you that you guys love.
It's a way to sign off that we love.
Yeah, I'm big into like watching series on Netflix or whatever. 2 series that I like are Homeland and then Yellowstone. That was one I've got into recently, and especially with changing into the new gimmick, I've really enjoyed that show.
Okay, what about you, Mr. Fale?
Where I got my motivation for the Underboss and now the Dawn is Sopranos. So whenever anybody asks me what series I like, Sopranos, check it out.
Heck yeah, Sopranos. Nice. I like that. A little bit old school, but I do like that.
Or Yujiro's favorite Friends. How you doing?
Then you guys got to watch Oz. I know it's messed up, but you got to watch Oz.
What's that?
Oz? It used to be on HBO.
Yeah. Oh, I got HBO.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy show, but I'll tell you what, like, it'll straighten you out. It'll keep your kids out of prison.
I'll say I love that there's different cultures on like when you come to Japan and they don't have everything, but at the same time, nothing irks me more than when I'm really into a show and then I either leave here. There was one time I was watching this show here, and then I went back to America, and then it wasn't on. Like the season wasn't on, and I was like, "No, I gotta wait till I go back to Japan." It was the worst thing. I just remember, like, oh, I want to go back to Japan. My girl at the time was, "Oh, you want to leave?" I'm like, "Yep, I gotta finish the show."
Well, the two options there are either leave or sail the high seas, if you know what I mean. But,
Yeah.
Chase, you're making my day by just making me laugh. And so, Mr. Filet, I gotta ask you a question. What is your favorite food?
All you can eat.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that.
The Korean barbecues.
All right, so Mr. Owens, your favorite food?
Oh, I'm definitely going with the all you can eat Korean barbecues. They're cheaper too, and if
Son of a gun.
if you're a drinker, some of these places you can all you can eat and drink for what 5,000 yen, which is
$50,
30,
$40.
$35 US. And
Yeah, I don't have that kind of money.
When they do the all you can drink, I don't know how they make money with some of these people that go in there, but
yeah, I hear that. But all right, so we got recommendations. Would you guys like to promote yourselves at all for where people can reach you or anything like that?
go ahead, Polly.
At Talks Fale on most social media platforms.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got Instagram and Twitter or X or whatever you're calling it. Real Chase Owens. If you want to follow me on Twitch, it's Lone Star Outlaw 210.
Actually, you were talking about Twitch earlier. Do you want to get into that real quick?
What do we need?
Oh, just a little bit more about your like video gaming. Like you're really into Twitch.
I mean, yeah, it's one of these things that like I figured I play a lot of video games anyway, so why not, stream and try to get new fans, whether they've not watched wrestling. Feel like you can mix them because I've had wrestling fans that follow my career that follow me on Twitch, and I've got new fans because they've seen on Twitch, and then we talk something wrestling, and they're like, "Holy crap, you're a wrestler!" And then then they're following you on that. You're buying T-shirts or or whatever.
I just want to make sure it's out there so that way, like whatever. We're just promoting you. We want to.
I started a YouTube channel, Chase Owens Wrestling. Again, I'm not the most tech savvy, so the videos aren't the greatest, but I try to put out
better than me.
But I try to put out, matches that I have in the States, or I've done a little bit of like traveling. There was a video that my buddy was here, and he's actually like a professional videographer, so he put together a real cool 10-minute video of a night out that we had, just going to a restaurant and just kind of like this, just sitting and talking and, just, telling YouTube about, how I got into wrestling or whatever.
Well, I mean, definitely if you want to send any of that to us, we'd love to share it. But I think I'm pretty much done. And if anybody knows, it's at 144Captain on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. I don't know.
All right, guys. So that'll be concluding the interview. I appreciate you guys for being here so much. It's a real honor to have the both of you on the show. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm sure that we'll be tagging you once this gets posted as well. And
yeah,
with
absolutely. We'll share it or, do whatever we can do.
Greatly appreciate it, guys. But with that, do something nice for somebody out there. Never know who needs it. You guys can always reach me at Maintenance Mav on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And with that, we're out.